that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. What haven't we? Know the planes and the Taylor gang and the fast cars with bad in them. I proceed to smoke these trees and stuff piles of cheese in my 501 denim.
Welcome back to Blue Blood TV, and you're locked into this show, the Blue Blood Barometer, and this is season 8 opener, but technically episode 2, and let's call this the actual litmus test of 25-26 college basketball season. I'm your host, Hassan Pinto, and I'm joined by the voice of reason, Will Phelan, and maybe the voice of the opposing shade, the one and only Mr. Darryl Brunson. Will, great to be back. What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you, man?
I'm amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts. How you feeling? How you feeling about the season?
I feel great, man. I feel great. Our brand of ball this season is way more exciting than that boring old style down in Durham that the old other shade of blues got going on. And it feels good right now to be a Carolina fan.
Will, did you just say boring?
Boring.
Yeah, Will, boring.
Boring.
Listen, I understand that sometimes certain teams like to play their best ball in November, but I think boring is a little bit far. But if you want to get your rocks off in November, we'll be ready in February when it really counts.
That's fine. I think I think we've got the best freshman in the country right now. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I know you think that, but there's a lot of pro scouts that think otherwise. But we'll talk about that.
That's fine.
All right, guys. Tar Heels are heading into week 4, already bagging a win against, a blue blood win against Kansas.
Statement
win, okay? And on the other side, Jon Scheyer's Blue Devils, they've been cruising along, but they have Kansas tomorrow night. Both are 3-0, no drama, no panic. This season's going smoothly. So the question is, the Blue Blood Barometer, which 3-0 is more meaningful? Did Carolina win, or have goodwill win early? Or is Duke sitting on a time bomb facing Kansas tomorrow night? We'll break down the performance, the metrics, the player spotlights, the setting the tone for this incredible season. Stick around. The debate starts now. The Blue Blood TV podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, guys, these shows grow when you share them. So we have a great show here. Share them with all your friends. Make them aware of the Blue Blood TV podcast. What's up, Darryl? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Haas. I'm doing really well after watching the first 3 games this season for sure.
Okay, and we're gonna call this the Cameron Boozer effect, the star freshman. Is that what we're gonna call it, Darryl?
Yeah, I think the Cameron Boozer effect is perfect. Looking at this Duke team and the way that he's leading them so far this season.
Okay, will this hype train slow down against Kansas? What do you think?
Hassan, I was looking at some stats, man, and it looks like Cameron Boozer is leading in almost every major statistical category, with the exception of steals, where you got Dame Sarr. But that sounds eerily familiar to a recent Duke freshman, I believe the name Cooper Flag. And if I remember correctly, that one didn't slow down until we got to that unfortunate semifinal last year. Do I think that it'll slow down this season? No, I think this young man is well-rounded. I think that momentum will continue because this year Jon Scheyer isn't just focused on getting a certain player to the NBA. He's focused on getting this team to a national championship.
Okay, Darryl, you started off the season with a win against WCU. I don't even know who they are. You got another win against Army, and
It's
then
Western Carolina, Hassan, just for the record. WCU. That's no shade.
Okay.
Throw some love out to the Catamounts. Come on.
And then you picked up a win against Army, 114-59. And then you picked up another monster win against Indiana State. I mean, Cameron Boozer did great against weak opponents. Are you ready to settle on what you just said?
Larry Bird once played for Indiana State. I mean, come on, Hassan. Listen. I know they don't have Larry Bird anymore. All seriousness, but I do think that sometimes you need. Last year, right? We talked about how Duke played these games early, like your Auburns, your Kansas, and they fell short. Sometimes you need weaker opponents to be able to figure those things out before you play the major opponents, Hassan. And I think that Carolina showed us with Kansas that if you play them early enough, sometimes you can catch them off guard. And so
Oh,
I think having a couple games to be able to warm up is extremely important because you get a better gauge of where your team actually is by the time you see this competition. And so I think this will be a better Kansas team that we see when we play them, but also that this Duke team will be better than they would have the first game, where
okay. Well,
they struggled a little bit against Texas.
okay. Well,
Daryl, do you
let's
Daryl,
jump
do
over
you
to Kansas.
think Yeah, do you think, and I've got a question for you actually, Daryl, do you think that you would rather be a team like Kansas's first big opponent of the season where you can catch them off guard, or would you rather be their second where they know how to play in the spotlight on primetime ESPN with all the alumni there and everything like that?
Yeah, if I were a less talented team, I would definitely want to see them the first game of the season, because you want to catch them off guard. You'd rather them not be as prepared and figuring it out. I think with the talent that Duke has this year, I'd rather take a loss if they take a loss against a more prepared Kansas team, so you can see where your team stands, rather than getting a quote unquote big win first game of the season where you really don't know who you're looking at.
Okay, Will, questions for you.
Okay.
Kansas, blue blood win, high level win. It set the tone for Carolina basketball. But then you go into Radford. I mean, I don't even know what to think about Radford, but you win 89-74, and then you play Central and you win 97-53. Is is Radford dropping 74 points on Carolina? Is that a concern? Is Carolina the truth? What are your thoughts, Will?
I'm not overly concerned about that game with Radford. I think that Hubert played a lot of bodies that night, and when you start pulling starters, you start putting young guys in, walk-ons in, and stuff like that. That score is a little inflated one way or the other. So I'm not concerned about it. We were pretty much in the driver's seat from start to finish in that game.
So how good is Carolina, Will?
I think this team, man, they've got a really high ceiling. I think that they're playing with a level of intensity that we haven't seen in a long time, man. We all heard the interview with Caleb Wilson after that Kansas game about his hit list and how he's got one, he found an opponent for or a player or a hit for every single opponent this season. I don't know how you'd find one for Radford, but I mean they've got a bunch of walk-ons and transfers from state and stuff like that. So it may be there, but they're playing with a level of intensity that we haven't seen in a while.
Well,
So,
well,
Will, I was at the game.
I really was ready to come on here and give Henry Vassar so much credit for averaging 8 rebounds a game this season. We talked about this, but then I looked at his numbers against Kansas, and he went from this to this, 4 rebounds. Will, how do you feel about your big man
How
uh,
many blocks did he have?
in the big games
You
not
go.
being able to be a big presence?
I'm okay with him. I'm okay with him. His size is something that we haven't had in a minute, and if you watch the games, which we all are, he dictates the paint with his size and his presence, and he's boxing out. He may not be pulling down rebounds, but he's a game changer.
Let's talk about that size, guys. Will, I went to the game against Central,
Okay.
and I thought Caleb Wilson was big, but he was surprisingly bigger. Okay. I
Yeah.
saw a guy every inch 6'10". Okay. I saw a guy with a big wingspan. Vassar is big. And I just see a team that I have not seen a Carolina team this big since the Coach Smith days. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about it in our last episode where we this is almost an overcorrection of last season where we had no
No, I
size.
think it's perfect, Will.
I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. We've got five guys that are 6'10" or higher or taller. Um, I love it. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, he's not pulling down rebounds. You can give me all the shit you want about that, but his size and his presence in the paint dictates what other teams can do down low. You look at the big man from Kansas, he struggled in the second half. The other thing that this size allows us to do is put teams in foul trouble. I think we had 45 or 50 free throws against Radford. So if we start doing that, we can play and compete with just about anybody this year, and I'm excited for it. I love it.
What about the sleeper on this front line? I want to talk about Jaren Stevenson. Can you give us some insights into Jaren? I mean,
Jaren,
and this guy's a solid local Pittsburgh, Chapel Hill, 6'10". Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, that was a great pickup. I'm glad he finally came to his senses and came home from Alabama. He's 6'10". He's got a huge wingspan. He's big. He's physical. He's athletic. The other thing that it allows us to do is against Central, he knocked down a couple of big outside shots. So he's not only
was against what now?
It was against Central, but I mean, you throw somebody down, in there, and you can stretch the floor. I mean, if you've got three guys that are 6'10" or higher, and all three of them are outside shots, where are the points coming from? You have no idea. So, what it does, I love having him on the floor. He gives us another dimension that we haven't had in a couple of years, and it's.
Listen, first of all, shout out to North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride. But first
Yeah,
and
the real
foremost,
team in Durham.
Yeah, okay. Your guy Jaren Stevenson shooting 31.5% from the field. He's not making any noise for me. Vassar can grab 20 boards against North Carolina Central, but he's still gonna be who he is when the big teams, big blue blood programs, again, blue blood programs show up to the Dean Dome, or they show up in Durham.
You've clearly got the box score and the stat line pulled up. Will you pull up Vassar's box score stat line from the Kansas game?
I know he had 4 rebounds. That's all I need to know.
How many points? How many blocks? How many steals? How many assists?
Listen, I believe he had 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. But
there you go.
That's great. I'm not gonna shade him on the impact he's making on his team. But when you come and you face, what'd you say, Hassan? Ngangba, you're in trouble, buddy. Ngangba, you're in trouble. Hey, Hassan, I got a new name for you.
You're sitting here talking about.
We got a new name to practice too before we go any further, man. Hamenya.
Ochukukukuiki.
No. Hamenya. We got to practice Hamenya. Nicholas Hamenya. It's got a K, but it's silent, Hassan. So start practicing that one now. Hamenya.
Haas. The most important name. He can sit here and try to figure out if he's going to finally get points out of Isaiah Evans, which we've been talking about for 3 years, and we're just living on a hope and a prayer. Or the real name that you can talk about is Luka Bogavas. Who's stepped up in a big way for Seth Trimble, with Seth Trimble being out.
So Will, tell us about this guy. I think he's about what, 6'5", 6'6"? What?
He's listed at 6'6", so we'll say he's 6'5". He's great. He's a facilitator. He can space the floor really well. And he's got a knockdown shot as well. He can get it done on both sides of the floor. And I think with Seth being out, we're going to have to find leadership from somewhere. It looks like it's coming from Vassar and Caleb, and Caleb is just playing with a level of intensity and anger that we haven't seen in a while. But this Luka kid is fantastic, man. He's going to be one of the guys that we really are going to count on heavy down the stretch, I think.
So he's listed actually at 6'6".
Yeah.
My only complaint in the Central game when I was watching him, we got to get this guy cut, man. Like, we got to get him faded out properly. We got to get his blend going on, and we got to just get him trimmed out, but just to make him look proper. But I agree. This guy's from Serbia, Montenegro.
Yep.
He's 6'6". So let's even say he's 6'5". This guy's big. Okay,
he's a big boy.
You're talking about a team featuring a 7-footer, a 6'10" guy that's every inch 6'10", and Caleb Wilson, And then you got another 6'10" on the wing that showed signs that he might be able to shoot the three. And you know the Serbian can shoot. You know it, right? You know that once he gets comfortable, he's going to be able to shoot. Darryl, do you might have a matchup problem? Because let me just tell you, Boozer's listed at 6'9", but I'm thinking he might be 6'8". And I'm telling you, Caleb Wilson is like a KD. He is 6'10". And it looks like he is baby face. He looks like he's still growing. Are you concerned about the matchups here?
No, I'm not. I'm
Darryl.
honestly not extremely concerned, Hassan.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Cameron Boozer is 6'9"? I'm saying he's not.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
He doesn't look
right
6'9".
6'8 3/4, dude. 6'8 3/4. We're gonna round up.
6'9" with his shoes on, 6'7", almost 6'8", 7 3/4, maybe 6'8". What do you
you're gonna have the kids going crazy next episode, man. What you say? 6'7". Listen, he's
6'7 3/4, 6'9" in his boots, maybe.
Hey, we learned very recently and very quickly from Henry Vassar that sometimes you can be a certain height and play at a different height. Okay, so do I think Boozer is 6'9", 6'10", 6'8"? I think he plays like a 7-footer sometimes, and so I think that
No, you cannot. No. You cannot play like a 7-footer when you're 6'7".
you can when you grab 15, 17, 20 rebounds, 23 rebounds.
Against who?
Hey, Hassan, listen. If the guy is grabbing the rebounds, right? Again, we learned from Vasari. Your numbers reflect. It doesn't tell you who you played. It tells you what you did. And the guy is grabbing boards left and right. He plays like he's a big man, whether that's a 6'8" big man or a 7-foot big man. He's a presence in the interior. There's no debate for that.
Darryl, I really haven't watched him very much this season. I mean, does he play with the level of physicality? Like, what's his shtick? Because
Absolutely.
You're counting on a guy who's 6'7", 6'8" at best. I mean, again, Jaron Stevenson is 6'10". You've got Caleb Wilson who's 6'10". You got Zayden High that can come in and give you 5 or 6 minutes off the bench. That's another 6'10". There's still another Montenegrin off the bench in I can't even pronounce his name. Help me out, Haas. That's another 7-footer that we got. So if you throw size at him and physicality, is he gonna fold?
No, he's not. And he plays very much like his dad played, right? You put that brump out there, you freaking box out, you grab boards. He's a physical presence, except the difference is he can also stretch it to the three and he can shoot the three. And so you take this guy, you put him in the paint, and he's gonna make a Vassar look a lot smaller than he is, and Boozer himself will look a lot bigger. I think that we're watching Caleb Wilson. I won't take anything away from him. I think this guy is pro ready. Market stamping. However, I also think Cameron Boozer is a different beast, and neither of them have seen a player like the other. But Cameron Boozer is a big man in a freaking stretch 4 body. He is a center in a stretch 4 body.
Will, I'm going to help you out. Ivan Matakovic.
Okay.
From Sisak, Croatia.
Yep.
I mean, Darryl, the one thing we discussed last year is size, right? The Carolina team didn't have size. But when I went to the Dean Dome on Friday night, I saw an NBA team. And last year, similarly, when Duke came to the party, I saw an NBA team. I'm not sure I see an NBA team this year. I'm just not sure, Darryl. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think all around, I do think that this team, if you compare them to last year's team, is not as pro ready, right? No, this is not. You looked at the team they had last year, and they were 10 deep with guys who could, at least 7 guys who can earn NBA minutes, which we see now with Sion James and Con Knipple, Cooper Flagg, Kaman Malawach, all in the NBA with significant playing time, right? I believe, though, still that this team is extremely talented. And while you see a pro team at Carolina, I still see a very, very good Duke team in Durham.
No, let's make that correction. So I see a pro size team. I see NBA bodies at Carolina. I'm not saying that, but with Caleb Wilson, I see a player, and this is my hot take of 2025, 2026 season. I see a 6'10 guy with very broad shoulders, very long arms. That is, to me, from the first game, I think he's better than Cooper Flagg. Listen, this guy can shoot the three. This guy can find his shot. He's got a mid-range game, and he can go to the hoop, right? And he's got a baby face. I
So
see a
you
player,
touched on a
and
point that I was about to touch on, Hassan. You're right, pro size, right? But if you look at this Duke team, you still see guys who are going to be in the league next year. Isaiah Evans will not be at Duke next year. Dame Sarr dude looks like De'Aaron Fox, but he's like 4 inches taller. Okay, he plays like De'Aaron Fox, gets and go. He's out of there. And Gongba has the potential to be able to show what he has this year because he doesn't have Malawach in front of him. You still have Caden Boozer, who we haven't even mentioned yet, where we had the Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer dilemma last episode. Dilemma's over. It's very clear who the best point guard is on this team. You have pro talent on this team. You have pro size 8 miles down the road in Chapel Hill. There's a big difference between the two.
So I agree with you. I agree with you, though, that if you remember the conversations that we had early on in the season last year about Cooper Flagg and wanting him to step up and be the guy. And if you look at early on in the season last year, he wasn't the guy. He wouldn't step up. It was almost forced upon him by Jon Scheyer. And I think at this point, I mean, obviously 3 games into a season, it's a long season, anything can happen, but Caleb Wilson looks better at this point than Cooper Flagg did last season.
And he's not like, is it the difference? And I agree with you, Will. The difference is Cooper Flagg was forcing his numbers, them. And when he went to the hoop, he wasn't under control. Like he didn't have that control where he's moving fast, but everything is in step. Okay. Cooper Flagg was a 6'9" guy that just forced it over lesser opponents. This Caleb Wilson guy, I think he's better because he's got that control. He's got control around the rim. He's got that smooth pull-up game. And again, like we see Cooper Flagg in the NBA struggling because he wasn't quite ready, like I said last year. This kid at the end of the year is a hands down top 5 pick.
Well, the good thing for Duke is that Caleb Wilson can beat the hell out of Cooper Flagg next year for a professional team. He's got to worry about the guys that are on the court for Duke this season. And so I agree. I actually think that Cooper Flagg made a very wise decision by reclassing to last year's class as far as the NBA is concerned, because if you look at the talent out there this season,
yeah, for sure,
not just on his own team, but throughout college basketball, you got AJ at BYU, you got Caleb Wilson, you've got Cameron Boozer right now, obviously.
Well, Darren Peterson at Kansas is a stud too.
Exactly. He made a very good business decision. And we could sit here and compare Caleb Wilson to Cooper Flagg all we want, but guess who Caleb Wilson has to play this year? Cameron Boozer. And I think there's a big difference between Cameron Boozer and Cooper Flagg because Cameron Boozer, unlike Cooper Flagg, to your point, Hassan, it's not all being fed through Cameron Boozer. They're looking to make plays for other people this year, like Isaiah Evans. But guess what? Cameron Boozer somehow ends up with a stat line of 20, 20, and 7. That is absolutely astronomical numbers.
Hey, you know what? Before
I think? Hold on, Will.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hold on, Will. What I think Hubert Davis is going to do to Cameron Boozer is he's just going to feed him 7-footers and 6'11" guy. Because I don't really believe when a guy says he's 6'10", he's probably 6'10" or he's taller, right? I believe Caleb Wilson is telling you he's 6'10", but he might be bigger. Okay. Second,
it's still growing too, man.
And he's still growing. Second, I think Hubert Davis is going to feed Cameron Boozer all those 7-footers that he has on his bench. And The problem with 7-footers is it changes your shot. Like the shot that you normally get, you're just not going to get because you got to shoot a little higher. You got to shoot a little faster. You got to move to the side and release a little quicker. I think that Carolina has, and what we talked about, the blueprint. Will, do you remember the show, The Blueprint?
Yeah.
And we talked about this GM situation. And the thing is, I think Carolina was constructed like an old Coach Smith team. We're going to talk about the backcourt because I'm not really sold in that backcourt, Will. But tell me what you think about that. What about the construction and your GM?
I love the way this team's set up. I was thinking while you guys were talking that, I mean, we could go 1-for-1 and line the starting 5 up if you want to do it that way. We could line those guys up 1-for-1 against Carolina, between Carolina and Duke. I think Kion Evans is the better point guard. I mean, he's our smallest guy, he's 6'3", but you look at the way he runs the floor and how he facilitates and everything. I think he's better than any point guard that you guys have. And I do think, I mean, Seth's defensive ability in not having that right now because of that freak weight room accident sucks. But I think that if you go 1-for-1, I think that we line up on every position and we are better in more cases than not.
We'll talk about Jim Tanner. We talked about Jim and Rachel in the blueprint in terms of roster construction. Tell me about this roster. That's what I'm really happy about with Carolina is
I am too.
The construction of this roster it wasn't like we're just going, Hubert is coaching all season, then recruiting. It just looked like this roster was intentional. This roster was well thought out. And kudos to Jim Tanner. Let's give him a clap, guys.
For sure. Well, and you have to think about how kind of, I think it's frustrating personally because it didn't happen sooner, but I'll take what I can get now. And that the very first year we have a GM, we've got one of the best rosters we've seen in the last 10 years at Carolina. So, I think it's frustrating personally, but I love the way this roster's. He went out, he addressed the problems that we had from last season. We have depth with Seth going down. There's a little bit less depth in the front court or back court. But I mean, I think we line up well against just about any team. If you look at that exhibition against BYU before the season started, their coach came out and said he was playing it like a regular season game, where Hubert wanted to get his guys some time and see what he had and everything coming off the bench. And we only lost by 2, and we really controlled that game outside of a few turnovers down the stretch. We should have had them. So
now we're bragging about beating up on a bunch of Mormons. Come on, Will.
I mean, BYU's got $10 million to pay the number 1 recruit in the country. So
he's the only one, dude. Come on, Will.
They're still the 8th best team in the country in the AP poll. So I mean, you got
What's the next topic? What's the next topic, Hassan?
Okay,
I'm not gonna sit on.
Darryl, we got the next topic.
Prepare for Duke and North Carolina to face off like never before. Blue Blood Rivalry 5K! 5K! Sign up one, sign up all. Students, families, alumni, locals, non-locals, everyone! And you don't even need to be from UNC or Duke, because we have a Party Crasher division! Party Crasher! Come State, Wake, UVA, anyone, and join the fun! Crash their party! But the real battle is between the Blue Devils and the Tar Heels! Before it's settled on the court, it'll be settled on the race course! But there's more! There will be a special basketball dribble division where each participant will travel the race course dribbling a basketball! Dribbling a basketball? Hell yeah! That's cool! So sign up now! Attention all racers, prepare for the event of a lifetime. The race course will most certainly decide a champion school.
Duke Carolina fans, download Duke Carolina, the Blue Blood Rivalry film on iTunes or Apple TV or wherever you get your VOD downloads.
Quinn. Quinn, you know you my guy, right? I'm always putting for you. Night, when you step on the court, I step on the court too. And we in it.
There's only 2 games that matter. It's the North Carolina game at Duke and the Duke game that's at North Carolina.
When we wake up on game day, there's a knot in my stomach. We've been up since 6 a.m. this morning watching recorded Duke Carolina games.
I watched the Rivers shot
about 15 times.
Yeah. Rivers on his own. Yes, at the buzzer.
We're here for the Duke game.
And it is 10 hours and 9 minutes until game time.
The Blue Devils win 85-84.
Nothing better than North Carolina and Duke. It is the best rivalry in all of college basketball. Hall of Fame coaches, great players, and usually so much at stake.
And that's it. Carolina's won it.
The fans have as much to do with the rivalry being great as the players and the coaches.
5 hours before game time.
Well, there's no question that the rivalry is there every day in our community.
Can you imagine what it would be like around here if people didn't have it? It would be terrifying.
We are 30 minutes away from tip-off.
It's one of the most exciting events you can be a part of, and I still say it's not the biggest rivalry in college basketball. It's the biggest rivalry in all of sport, bar none.
It's game time!
Let's just talk about how Duke is positioning itself. Like, what I'm seeing is they're marketing the Cameron Boozer train, but I really think the guy should be Isaiah Evans. I feel like he waited his moment. You know the guy can shoot the lights out. I feel like he's fun to watch. Why Cameron Boozer? Is it legacy and not Isaiah Evans? Tell me.
I think it's a combination of legacy. Sure. I mean, he's a Boozer boy, right? He is one of Duke's greats that they like to brag about, and Carlos Boozer, this is his seed. But I think if his name weren't Boozer, that he would still be hyped up. He might, honestly, Hassan, he might be at a different school if that were the case, but it would still be the same hype. And I think that he has the talent, he has the total package that Duke needs to be able to keep this motor running, right? The team runs at Cameron Boozer's pace, and I think that his motor being what
it can't run at Isaiah Evans' pace.
So I think Isaiah Evans has improved tremendously. He's still an incredible scorer, but he's still got some work to do all around, and you can tell that he's doing the work. But I don't think this team can win the national championship if he's the guy. He could be the best scorer on the team. That's not what I'm saying. But I think all around, Cameron Boozer is going to be the guy to lead this team to a national championship.
Why?
This Duke team isn't winning a national championship.
You said last year.
You haven't even watched this team, dude.
No. I have watched the team, and I told you last year.
I've watched one game. This Duke team's not winning a national championship this year.
Okay. And Darryl, I told you last year that Cooper Flagg would be the Achilles heel on this team because they want him to be successful, right? Cooper Flagg's a good player. He's an excellent player. I understand why the NBA needs him. We had that conversation. I'm all for it, okay? But I feel like if they would have let that team gel and they would have let Cooper Flagg ease into it, and you would find the best player to shoot the shot. The reason why Isaiah Evans is not where he needs to be is because you need to play. Like, you cannot develop in practice. You have to play. You have to have big moments. And from my vantage point, his skill set right now is the best on the Duke team. And my concern with Duke is they're trying to prepackage their star every year rather than have them earn it on the court.
I disagree with that this season. Listen, the reason why Isaiah Evans didn't play as much last year is because he could come in, get hot, and score 15 in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes, right? But he also could give up 17 in the same time span. This year, he's playing better on defense, and they need to make sure he gets shots. He's got to be a guy but I don't think he necessarily has to be the guy. He can score, Hassan. He can come in and
Because you
score.
don't want him to be the guy. That's the problem.
I listen. I don't think that that's completely true. I think if you watch the games early, he's getting shots off. John Shire's not holding him back. He's
Because he
allowing
already
him.
held him back. He held him back.
Held him back.
He held him back.
He already held him back.
He held him back. He's already held him back for a year.
Yeah, well, you know what? You guys know just as well as I do. Yeah, this one and done era shit has changed the way that we view college basketball. But traditionally, you have to wait. It is what it is. It's not going to be your turn when you first get there. Traditionally, that is college basketball. You're going to wait a season if you can't do it. If you can't do it.
So the fact of the matter is that Shire is trash at developing his players. The players that he's had since he's been a head coach that have gone on to do things in the NBA went on to do things in the NBA under their own volition. It wasn't because Shire helped them out or developed them. You can still develop guys in the one and done era.
James literally came from Tulane and is starting games for the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, anybody could start games for the Charlotte Hornets. Sion James is fantastic,
fair.
But
that's fair. Hey, that's fair. That's fair.
At the same time, I said he's fantastic. I like the way he plays. I really do. But at the same time, if you look at we're beating a dead horse here, man. It's the conversation that we've had for the last 3 seasons has been Shire's holding this guy back. Shire's holding this guy back. Shire's holding this guy back. Shire forced Cooper Flagg. The reason they lost big games last year in Duke was because everybody knew who was the ball was going to every single time. It was going to Cooper Flagg, and Cooper Flagg was either going to beat you or he wasn't. That's it. It wasn't because John Shire developed these guys or anything like that.
That's completely unfair, though. I don't think you can say John Shire doesn't develop players and say that he has no impact on them being in the NBA when he's put the most players in the NBA over the last 3 seasons.
That's cool. Yes, that's your recruiting class. That's your recruiting class. You guys that's ESPN. Listen, ESPN, all they did last year was blow freaking Cooper Flagg, blow smoke up Cooper Flagg's ass.
Proctor.
That's all we had to hear. That's great. Tyrese Proctor, what's he doing right now? I haven't heard from him.
He's playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He actually plays a significant role for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cool. Okay, let me just jump in. Let me just take you backwards. Sion James is playing for the Charlotte Hornets because he has the best 3-point shooting percentage in the NBA right now. Okay. When I went to the Laker game, I think it was last Monday in Charlotte, he was poised with marking the one and only Luka Doncic, who is 6'9", every inch of it. And Sion was a point guard. And when you looked at the two, a 6'9", 240-pound guy and a 6'6", 235-pound guy, it looked like a formidable matchup. So Sion James has shown us in the pros that he can shoot that shot. Duke just didn't need him to shoot it. Okay. Sion James was on the court last year because his body and his defensive part of his game is so elite that the Charlotte Hornets are putting him up against the best power forwards in the game. I mean,
fair enough. But
I believe the other night he had at OKC, he had the best take player at OKC.
But you also, if you've got the best, you've got a phenomenal defensive player in Sion who you're putting on the court, because you don't just become the best 3-point shooter by percentage in the NBA overnight. That shot was there. Why would you not use that shot? No, what I'm saying,
31%. He shot 31% from the 3 at Tulane. His season at Duke, 41. It's development. Just because you don't see it on a daily basis doesn't mean they're not developing these players. Yeah, sure, they may not have the opportunity because they're pushing Cooper Flagg game to game, but it doesn't mean that they're not developing these guys for their overall impact long term.
So you threw out the number. Why?
No. Here's the deal.
One more thing. Go ahead. One more thing. So you threw out the Duke has the most NBA players in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? So you're pointing to one example. Look at Cooper Flagg. He's struggling. and he was ESPN and Duke's poster child and pride and joy and whatever. So for every one, you can go with one more that was underdeveloped and underutilized. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, Sion James kills it. He's killing it. So he developed that one, but he did a disservice to a guy like Cooper Flag.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Triple doubles in the NBA.
Here's the deal, and here's what we're getting at. Sion James came to Duke to fill a role, right? The reason why Sion James is played at Duke and plays for the Charlotte Hornets is because he's a glue guy. He's a guy that can do a lot of things. He can bring the ball up the court. The only question mark was, could he shoot the shot? He's worked on it, okay? But his defensive and his selfishness is what every NBA team and the NBA team in college called Duke University, that's what they needed last year. That's why he played. Now, let's segue back. Sion James came to Duke to fill a role, right? So what it tells me is Jon Scheyer has roles. He has support players. He has glue guys. He has shooters. He has his star, right? So what I see is Isaiah Evans is going to fill the role of his shooter, not his star, right?
What's Isaiah Evans shooting this season?
My problem last year was
he's shooting like 30, like 35, I think 34%.
All right.
Who?
Isaiah
Evans this season.
But I told you my problem last year was I felt like Cooper Flag was being pushed into a role and it was fabricated. Okay. I feel like Jon Scheyer has to not tell us, okay, this is the star. This is the star. Let it work itself out on the court and let us decide, right? Because as a fan, I believe that you're being disingenuous and not letting the game tell us, the fans, who those guys are, right?
Well, in basketball, more than probably any other team sport, is if you have a down night, guys can have off nights, right? Like even the best of them have off nights. If you're still trying to force a guy to be the guy and the superstar on an off night, you're not going to win the national championship. You're not going to win the big one because you're trying to force these guys through and everybody else is just playing their role. So right now, Isaiah Evans' role is to be the shooter, and he's shooting 34%, you said, 35%, you said. Like, if you're going to be the shooter in these big games that you rely heavily on against big-time opponents, like a Kansas, like a BYU, like a Purdue or a Houston or whomever in the tournament, 35% is not going to get it done for the shooter.
Okay,
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. Here's my point, guys. This is all I'm saying is that we're not talking about last year, but so much, right? We're talking about the 25-26 season. And while I can agree with that nationally, not even just Duke, they pushed the narrative of Cooper Flag last year.
For sure.
I get that. That is Duke in a way succumbing to the pressure of what the national media has. It's the same thing, very similar to Zion, right? It's all about Zion. It's all about Cooper Flag. This year, I think Cameron Boozer is earning that. You don't just do 20-20 and 5 type games without having to earn it. That's you going in with your motor, with you going in, grabbing rebounds and setting the tone for your team. I think Isaiah Evans is going to have to be the best scorer on this team, and Jon Scheyer is going to have to allow him to have nights where he shoots 4 for 15 from the field, understanding that you have to let him continue to shoot without that leash being pulled because you need him in the biggest games. But I don't think that they're artificially manufacturing Cameron Boozer this season. I think he's working his ass off, and he's earning every bit of the attention that he's getting and the role that they've put him in. I don't think that it's a Cooper Flag situation. I do think the Boozer name, just like his brother, with the Duke emblem means a lot, right? That's going to create a narrative in itself. But I think that he is working his ass off to be the best player on this team, and Isaiah Evans is going to have to find a way to continue to score, and Jon Scheyer has to allow him to score for this team to be national championship successful.
Okay, so
how
hold
deep
on,
is
Will,
Duke?
hold on, Will. So Darryl, I'm going to make a comparison. Khan, remember that guy?
Yeah,
That was a
convict.
stud.
Yes, sir. Convict Knipple.
Cooper Flag. Right now, a couple of weeks into the NBA, who's the better player?
Khan is playing better than Cooper Flag right now.
Khan is playing better than Cooper Flag, right? Khan now has the green light at Charlotte to do whatever he wants. Okay. He did not have the green light to do whatever he wanted at Duke because Duke is making a manufactured product, a pre-manufactured product on an assembly line and saying, you are going to fit this role, right? Similarly, Sion James, can he shoot? Yeah, he can shoot. Okay. And he's gotten better, but he was there to fill a role, right? So I'm going to say with 100% certainty that Jon Scheyer has roles. And so when you tell me about 25 points, this, that, and the other, Boozer is free to play and take shots whenever he wants. If you gave Isaiah Evans that and you allow him to have a bad game, just like he allowed Cooper Flag to have a game, I think Isaiah Evans becomes the better player. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And my problem with what's going on in Duke right now is I feel they're trying to tell you the narrative. Will, what do you think about that?
I think you're spot on with that, man. I feel like these. If we look at even in years past, I know Darryl mentioned we're looking at this year, but in years past, the teams that have won have had multiple players who had the green light to pull the trigger when they were open, when they weren't open, find a way to get points, right? And it seems to me like it runs through one or two guys, really one guy with Jon Scheyer each season. Last year was Cooper. This year it's Boozer, and then everybody else has to basically ask for permission. And if you open up a guy like Isaiah Evans, who we've seen in the past can be the shooter, he can be the guy that gets you buckets. Let him. Why not utilize him? Let him. So I agree with you, Haas.
I just want to be clear about one thing before we move on. This team, this Duke team, last year's team, was literally just free throws, inbounding the basketball away from being in the national championship, where they would have had they would have been the favorite to win the national championship in that game. I hear what you guys are saying about what they did with Cooper Flag last year, and they pushed this narrative. They wouldn't let anybody else have the freedom that they let Cooper Flag have. This team was a national championship team. Their coach in that moment didn't coach them up to be able to inbound the basketball. That is as simple as it is. Houston was beaten last year. If Duke could inbound the basketball, Sion James threw the basketball away. Jon Scheyer, I'm not a fan. Okay, I'm not the biggest Jon Scheyer. I'm not. I hope for Duke's success, but if we look at it last year, and you guys watched it just like I did, this team was 2 inbound plays away from being in the national championship game and being favored in the national championship game.
So
that's
so
as
that
simple
speaks
as it
that
is.
speaks largely to lack of development. If you're not properly developing your players enough to inbound the damn basketball in the final four,
Well,
the
that
second to
has
last
nothing to
game of
do
the
with
season, why
development.
not?
That's
Why not?
absolutely coaching.
If you have
If you want to call it coaching, okay, I'll
coaching,
wait.
okay, same thing. Coaching, development, same thing. You can't coach a damn basketball game if your players still don't know how to inbound the damn basketball the last game, second to last game of the season. That
You need to
speaks
know how to inbound
volumes.
from grade school. I think Jon Scheyer has to come up with better. Sure, he needs better strategy, better plays to get the ball in. Coach your team. Let your players know. Here's your outlet. Here's your last minute. If you can't get it in, do this. Sure, but as far as developing, I don't think that they're the same thing. He got out coached in the last minute. I would agree with you with that 100%. Yeah, the last 3 minutes, really, he was out coached in that game. I am again not the biggest proponent of John Shire, but I don't think that it's from a lack of developing his players. I think in that moment, he didn't coach those guys up to get that ball in bounds, but that is not the same as whether or not you're teaching, you're showing guys how to get better overall.
Okay. Well, Darryl, I think we both agree with you that Duke had one of the best rosters last year that we've seen in a long time. I think we think it's like that roster might be a top 3, top 4 roster. Well, definitely is last year. It was an NBA team, so we're not even debating last year. Should have Duke have won the national championship? The answer is yes. Should John Shire have practiced inbounding the ball? The answer is yes. The reason that Duke lost last year was coaching. Simple.
100%. I agree with that 100%. That is not what I'm arguing. 100%.
Okay, so we're not arguing any of that with you. But what I want to talk about is what I think is the most critical component of this year's season is approach, right? These general managers, Rachel Baker and Jim Tanner. Jim Tanner, I don't know if you know his background, but he was Grant Hill's agent for many years. He was an agent for Octagon for many years in the NBA. He knows the NBA. He knows roster construction. He knows what people need. And I think these GMs and the way they structure their program, I think that's going to be the difference in terms of how successful these programs are going forward. Will, I want you to kind of take that and run with it.
I love it. I think you're spot on. I think that Duke got the head start, like we talked about in that developmental episode last season. And just seeing what Jim and Hubert can do. I mean, you look at how much the difference between Hubert Davis's in-game adjustments against Kansas and compared to last season in the same opportunity are night and day. He's strictly focused on coaching, and it's wonderful. The one thing I love about the development or the way they built this roster is I was looking at it this morning. And if you look at it, I mean, outside of Caleb Wilson, obviously, just about everybody else, I guess Seth as well, he's a senior, has multiple years of eligibility left. So you went out and filled a bunch of needs in size, athleticism, shooting ability, but you're doing it with guys who have multiple years of eligibility left. And if you can pay these kids through NIL and whatever, you're building that roster for 2 years and not having to go out every year after year after year after year and try to redo it and reinvent the wheel every time. You saw it we've got another 5-star that just committed to Carolina. And so now we're able to compete with these Dukes of the world and all that as far as these 4-star, 5-stars go. And it just having somebody to focus strictly on roster creation and building is phenomenal.
And Will, I don't want to be remiss.
I have a question.
Okay.
I got a quick question myself just for Will. So you think, we talk about coaching, we talk about John Shire, and he definitely's come up short in that aspect. He's definitely come up short in that aspect, but I'm curious what you think about Hubert Davis. If this season, what do you think is a successful season for Hubert Davis with this Carolina roster, like you talked about, much better constructed roster than he's had the last couple years? What do you think would be successful, and what do you think might have him on the hot seat?
So fan-wise or reality-wise? Those the two different answers there. So fans obviously are going to – fans.
I mean, fans won national championships every year.
Fans are fanatics for a reason, right? It's what it's short for. So in reality, I think that we had the luxury where you guys went in preseason number 3 with another top recruiting class and this, that, and the other. This is the first year of this Jim Tanner GM experiment for us. So I think in reality, after 3 games, which is we're still real early, 4 games, we're still real early in the season, I think Elite 8. I'm not going to say
I think 16
national championship, but I think looking across the board, obviously, as you go further into the season, things start to sort of settle off and shake out. But there's really not anybody. I mean, you look at Purdue going down, you look at Houston. you look at Duke, you look at these other teams, they don't scare me as much anymore because our roster has been developed the way that it is, or built the way that it is. So I think in reality, I think an Elite Eight.
Okay, Will.
And what do you? Okay, and the unsuccessful season. What do you think keeps him on that hot seat that we saw? I think last season.
I think they're gonna. I don't think there will be a hot seat necessarily from a reality standpoint necessarily after this season. I do think it largely depends on if everybody stays healthy, because I mean a few injuries can change the course of a season overnight. I think that if they don't win in the first weekend, if they don't get out of the first weekend of the tournament, I think you'll see people start to call for his job.
So Will, I think a successful season this year for Hubert Davis is Sweet 16. That's going to be the bar because the team is good enough. He has everything he needs to get to the Sweet 16. It's the best team he's had in a minute. And anything he goes forward just secures his job.
What if he does less, Hassan? What if he does less?
I think he becomes on the hot seat, Darryl. I think because fans like me are looking at this roster creation, and if we don't get to the Sweet 16 with this roster, I think then you have to turn your eyes to the coaching, right? Like Sean Shire, we're not debating it. Like he had an NBA team last year, and the reason why he didn't get there is because of him. Really,
Absolutely.
It's really
100%.
It's really that simple. And Will, before I end the show, I want you to give me a little update on what you heard about Seth Trimble. I mean, this is an injury that's nobody's giving any details on, and it sounds like a machine fell on him.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing as well. It's just kind of one of those freak accidents. He was in the weight room, a machine fell on his arm. He had
But how
surgery.
does a machine fall on your arm, Will?
I couldn't tell you.
It wasn't like I didn't hear like a barbell fell on his arm.
Yeah, no.
I heard a machine.
Sounds like a cover up, fellas. Sounds like it could be a cover up.
Mr. Conspiracy theorist over there. Maybe. Who knows? I do know that he had surgery either the same day or the following day. And recovery's going well, apparently. They haven't given us a timeline. They're saying out for an extended period of time from what I've heard. It really just depends. I mean, UNC and Duke have two great athletic or training programs and medical programs. So I think that there's a potential that he could come back. There's also a potential that he could redshirt this year. He only played 2 games. So I don't know if anybody's floated that idea yet, but we've got to see on how the recovery goes before we start throwing those out there. Those
I think if
ideas
he
out
has
there.
to miss the entire season, I think that is one of the biggest blows that Carolina could have received. If you're looking at just construction and players and what they mean to the team, I think that he was, the guys. We talk about glue guards, right? I think he is the glue that should keep this team together throughout this season. I think that would be an incredible loss if he's out for the season.
Yeah, I do think that having guys step up. If you listen to Luka after the last couple of games, everybody's taking ownership of their mistakes on this team, which you love to see. I think that we need to. Everybody's hearing we need to find the next man to step up. We need to find the next leader. And you listen to these guys saying, I have to be better. I have to be better. I have to be better. So I do love and Caleb getting on the floor after every loose ball and everything like that. So guys are stepping up. I do agree with Darryl, though. That is a huge loss. His leadership and his intensity, his defensive ability, that's a huge blow if he doesn't come back this season.
All right. Well, that's another Blue Blood TV podcast. This podcast was called the Blue Blood Barometer, season 8, episode 2. And guys, we started with the simple question, which 3-0 was more meaningful? And we settled that the Tar Heels have the more valuable win in the bank. But the Duke Blue Devils had a less valuable wins, more comfortable trajectory until tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, we will reset the stage, and Duke is managing their expectation. Carolina is exceeding them, and they're even exceeding them with the injury surrounding Seth Trimble. But as you know, guys, November is the appetizer. We know that Cable Wilson looks great. We know that Cameron Boozer looks amazing against soft defenses. The real barometer is the test for these teams is ahead of us. So with that, we'll see you next week. Please like this podcast. Please share this podcast so that we can continue to grow. And thank you for watching the Blue Blood TV podcast. And as we always say, Darryl, Will, what are we?
We out. We out.
We out. The Blue Blood TV podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, guys, these shows grow when you share them. So we have a great show here. Share them with all your friends. Make them aware of the Blue Blood TV podcast.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. What haven't we? You know the planes and the Taylor gang and the fast cars with bad in them. I proceed to smoke these trees and stuff piles of cheese in my 501 denim.